Hey, how you doing? My name is Michael Rubenfeld. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today I have a very special announcement. I am officially announcing that I am going to be running for the next presidential elections. I hope to be your next president. I'm joking. It's just a joke. I'm not going to be running for the presidency. However, according to more than just a couple of people, all the members of the Polish government are actually Jews, and they've just changed their last names to sound less Jewish. This is not a conspiracy theory at all. I've consulted with the League of Zionist leaders from around the world. We do have a secret society where we tend to meet to discuss important subjects like how to plant Jewish people in the Polish parliament in order to eventually take over the country and return all of the land to the Jewish people. And the truth is that, yes, we have done that. The Polish parliament is all Jews. Kaczynski, both of the brothers were Jewish. Duda, also a Jew. Morawiecki, he's a Jew. Tusk, Hołownia, they're all Jewish. It seemed to make a lot of sense to me then that I too should run for the presidency, given the fact that I'm a Jew, probably a shoo-in. But I'm not going to run for the presidency because it's my hope that that Jew, what's his name, wins, and I'm going to vote for him. But seriously, I've been getting a lot of weird conspiracy theory comments, and also questions about the Jewish people. And I thought that I might do a video about Jews. First of all, in case you were wondering, there is no secret society. Also, there was no such thing as blood libels. There never was. We did not use the blood of Christian children to make our matzah. The truth is that we tried, and it just was too chewy, and so we decided instead to use water. What I can tell you is that there are some facts about Jews that might interest you, and I thought maybe I would share. The first thing I can tell you is the Jews don't believe that Jesus Christ was the Lord and Savior. We're not against the idea that he existed. He's just not a part of our conversation. He's not in the Old Testament. We don't talk about Jesus at all. The Jewish people actually believe that the Messiah has yet to come. And so we're waiting for him or her or them. And when they do come, Moses will appear on Mount Sinai. He will blow a shofar. A shofar is the ram's horn that we blow on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And then everyone will rise from the dead, the Jews, of course, and they will go into heaven, and we will live happily ever after. It's a weird story, but that is what will apparently happen when the Messiah shows up. And could be any day. Could be any day now. Yeah. So fingers crossed. Now there's the overarching religion of Judaism, but there's different sects or different kinds of Jews. There's basically four. There are Orthodox Jews, there are conservative Jews, there are progressive Jews slash Reform Jews, and there are Reconstructionist Jews. I don't really know much about Reconstructionist Jews, so I'm not going to touch really on it at all. Because the main three are Orthodox, conservative, and Reform. In Orthodox Jews, there are kind of subsections of Orthodox Jews. There's a Chabad, who are very Orthodox. There's Hasids, Hasidic Jews. There are Haredi Jews. And the difference between the subsections might be connected to just different schools of thought, but generally in very Orthodox or extreme Orthodox circles, these are the circles where you find the kind of black hats. Women will often wear wigs, Once they're married, when you go to synagogue, men and women don't pray together. Women will not touch other men, and men will not touch other women. And basically, Orthodox Jews will do as much as they can to obey Jewish laws. Now, within Orthodox Judaism, there are also modern Orthodox Jews, and there are members of my family who are actually modern Orthodox. And these are Jews who will do as much as they can to obey Jewish law, but they won't necessarily have the side curls, the payas. The women won't necessarily wear wigs. The women won't necessarily not touch other men, and vice versa with other men. But modern Orthodox Jews will try and follow many of the Jewish laws. They will always keep the Sabbath. They won't turn on lights on the Sabbath, not drive a car on Sabbath. They will keep all of the Jewish holidays in accordance to what you're supposed to do based on Jewish law. In a nutshell, that's Orthodox Judaism. And then there's conservative Judaism that lives somewhere between Orthodox Judaism and progressive or Reform Judaism. My father, for example, is a conservative Jew. My father will keep kosher. Yeah, this is also something that Orthodox Jews, of course, will only keep kosher. Jewish dietary laws: you don't eat milk with meat, you don't ever eat pork, and there's a whole bunch of other laws, but I won't get into that. So yeah, my father will keep kosher, and he goes to synagogue, but he doesn't go every Friday. Whereas, like an Orthodox Jew, you go to synagogue every Friday, and often you pray twice a day if you're an Orthodox Jew. Conservative Jews can or they cannot. My father doesn't do it, and lots of conservative Jews don't do it, but he will keep kosher, for example. So conservative Jews somehow, they're kind of like swingers. They will sometimes be more on the Orthodox side, sometimes be more on the Reform side, sort of depending on the day, and that works fine for them. But in like Reform synagogue, there's a lot of female rabbis, or even queer rabbis, but say like conservative Jews and certainly Orthodox Jews would not necessarily recognize those as legitimate rabbis. So then we move on to Reform or progressive. Basically, there's a lot of flexibility in Reform or progressive Judaism. I personally identify as a progressive Jew. I would say that my values align more with progressive Judaism. I do not sort of feel that Jewish law is the be all and end all of how a Jew should practice their Jewishness. I think a rabbi can be anyone. In fact, I would say that I even mostly identify as an atheist, and I'm totally fine with that, as would say other Reform or progressive Jews. I would still be quite welcome, whereas that would just make no sense to an Orthodox Jew. It's like God or bust. Whereas I think there's just a lot more space in progressive Judaism for different kinds of Jews. It's a lot more open for people who are queer. An Orthodox Jew might believe that your mother must be Jewish or you're not Jewish. Whereas in progressive Judaism, if you're a quarter Jewish and you want to identify as a Jew, there's space for you to be able to do that. In progressive Judaism, there are Jews who keep kosher and there are Jews who do not. I personally, I don't keep kosher, but I'm vegetarian, so it's basically like keeping kosher. So yeah, that's that's a whole bunch of information. I don't know if that was too dense or not, or if people were able to keep up. I know that the majority of my audience are Polish people. Obviously, you're probably English speakers, but I am assuming that you have different degrees or different capacities of the English language. So please feel free to offer me notes. I got a lot of notes about my sound quality the last time. I have, tried to move my mic closer to my mouth. The reality is I've got kind of a cheap mic, and I think that's a problem. And I just need to buy another microphone. And to get a good one, to get a proper good one is not cheap. So I'm just going to wait a little bit and see if I can make this work. I hope this was better for you. Oh, God, I almost forgot. There are also Jews from different parts of the world. The largest number of Jews are Ashkenazi Jews, and Ashkenazi Jews are Jews from this part of the world. They tend to be white. The majority of the Jews in America are Ashkenazi because it was the Ashkenazi Jews who needed to move to America. There's also Sephardic Jews, and Sephardic Jews are Jews with Spanish origins or Portuguese origins as well. The main differences between, say, Sephardic Jews and Ashkenazi Jews are the foods. There's different foods, different traditional foods. Services might look differently. Well, this is interesting. The Jewish laws were originally written in the 1600s by a guy named Joseph Caro, and he was Sephardic. But there was another rabbi in Poland named Rabbi Moses Isserlis who wanted to make Jewish laws that would be appropriate for Ashkenazi people because the Joseph Caro wrote the laws for Sephardic people. And so Rabbi Moses Isserlis wrote something called Hamapa, or the map, which became a kind of addendum to Joseph Caro's laws. And now when you buy the book that have all the Jewish laws, you've got Caro and Isserlis's versions together, which I think is pretty cool. I'm not a scholar, so I can't tell you all of the differences, but I can tell you that when you go to, say, a Sephardic synagogue, the tunes would be different than an Ashkenazi synagogue. There are a few different laws about what you can or cannot eat. And also, like, there are different kinds of dishes that would be like more traditionally Sephardic dishes. We have been talking about Ashkenazi dishes, like, kugel or, gefilte fish. Sephardic Jews, there would be like more rice and Spanishy things. And then there's also Mizrahi Jews, which are Jews that are from more of the Iraq, that area, that part of the world. But they also have a whole different set of traditions. But we're all Jewish. We all have kind of like the same basic laws, the same prayers that we read from the same books in synagogue. There's also like Jews in Ethiopia. There's a whole section of Jews there, and that's a whole interesting story. They've been there for like 1,000 years. Yeah, that's all. That's everything. I hope this video was interesting for you, and remember, I will not running for presidency, but if I was, I hope you'd vote for me. Goodbye. I love you, and until next time.